Hello everyone, today's video is going to be a little unusual, because in this episode there won't be any vehicle kits. To begin with, I designated a 3D model of a Soviet 76mm regimental gun and printed it on my FDM 3D printer. Yes, of course, FDM printing comes with a lot of nonsense and challenges. But if you print the model in separate parts and then carefully assemble them into a complete structure, the result actually turns out not so bad at all. In addition to the gun, I want to include 3 soldier figures in the diorama to represent the artillery crew. These figures are from a Soviet artillery crew set made by the company Orion. To be used in the diorama, these figures need proper preparation. The problem is that the material they are made from is very difficult to work with. You can literally see how it begins to delaminate or split apart in your hand. Luckily, I managed to fix this issue. Once the gun and figures were ready, it was time to work on the base of the diorama. This time I using foam again, but I want to make a more interesting and non-standard shape. First, I used the hobby knife to cut away everything unnecessary. And then I grabbed a soldering iron to shape the base, giving it a more varied and unique terrain. I didn't have a clear fixed idea this time, so I decided to rely entirely on improvisation. The result turned out to be a small road going through a gully, with a slight elevation, where I might add some plants or other landscape features, and a slope where I can create detailed surface texture using texture paste. To create the ground texture, I'm using the same texture paste that I used in my previous diorama. It's proven itself to work very well. Also, I should mention that it dries rather slowly, especially if applied in thick layers. But I don't have much of a choice, so I'm using what I have available. After applying the texture paste, it needs to dry a bit, before I can start shaping the surface the way I want. I plan to add some indentations and small bumps, as well as use spare track pieces to indicate that this is a road, complete with track marks or vehicle imprints. Yes, this will be yet another diorama featuring a road, but essentially this particular diorama serves as a testing ground. I want to try out several new things I recently created. After letting the diorama dry a bit, I used various tools to make the texture paste even more textured, as absurd as that may sound. Then, using plastic wrap and some track piece, I shaped the surface to look more like an actual road. Sure, maybe it didn't turn out exactly as I hoped, but at least I have a few large potholes. And into those I plan to pour epoxy resin to simulate puddles. Now it's time to let the diorama dry completely for a full day. While that's happening, it's the perfect opportunity to start printing the figures. This time around, the process will be very simple, because to put in mind that the figures are of poor quality, honestly, Orion completely let me down this time. The figures are so bad, I can't even properly express how bad they really are. At this point, I seriously think it's time to consider getting myself a resin 3D printer, something like a Liga or similar model, just so I can comfortably print 1/72 scale figures and get exactly the kinds of miniatures I am actually interested in and needed. Yes, many people might say I just used bad brush again, but believe me, I painted one of the figures off camera using a high quality brush. I really gave it my best effort, but unfortunately, it's impossible to achieve a decent result when the figures themselves look like melted clay. So, after spending a little time on the figures, I shifted my focus to painting the gun. First, I needed to apply a base coat to certain parts, such as the wheels, tools and other small details. After painting the rubber section black, I made a few adjustments to make the wheels look more realistic and cleaner. Next, I mixed up an oil-based wash using a color called burnt umber and started applying it. The process itself is pretty straightforward. I needed to cover the entire gun to give it a more weathered, worn and, let's say, battle-hardened look, as so it had seen some action. Once the wash has dried a bit, it was time to work on the details, highlighting raising areas and adding some variety to the gun's appearance. Yes, the quality of this particular gun leaves much to be desired, and using it as a central piece of the diorama is admittedly a bit odd. But in this case, the point isn't about a lack of choice. It's about showing that even with a lower-end tool like an FDM 3D printer, you can still achieve a pretty decent result. I mean, in diorama creation. And here is what I ended up with, and overall, I'm satisfied with the outcome. And now a new day begins, which means the diorama is ready for the next stage of work. The first step is to deal with the ground texture. Since the texture paste already has a nice black color with a slight sheen, there is no need to go over the entire diorama with paint. Instead, I use the dry brushing technique to apply chocolate brown from Vallejo. That's exactly what I did. Then I set the diorama aside to dry once again and moved on creating some additional elements. One of the elements I added was this fairly thick log. Of course, for 1/72 scale it does look quite massive, but it can be used as a telegraph pole or a fallen tree. Why not? I have already shown the process of making such logs in a previous video, but for those interested, I use an ordinary bread knife for this. It has a very interesting fine serrated edge, and with its help you can give the surface a pleasant realistic wood texture. Painting the log is very simple. First, a base color is applied, and then, using the dry brush technique, highlights are created. This method gives a very cool and convincing result. To fill the right side of the diorama, I used a regular branch found outside to represent a fallen old tree. Of course, I could have added texture to it as well, but in my opinion it looks quite realistic as it is. Now, using the color Tan Earth from ICM, I applied another layer with a lighter shade, using the dry brush technique. This added a third tone to the ground. Combined with the oil wash I plan to apply later, the texture of the earth should turn out simply amazing. Yes, at this stage it all looked, to put it mildly, strange, almost like some alien battlefield. But trust me, during the process everything will fall into place. Now I let the diorama dry again and started working on another element. A smaller log that I want to use to imitate a fence on the elevated area. The idea is this: the road lies in a ravine, and on the elevation there is a fence behind which lies a hypothetical field. Of course, I don't plan to depict the field itself, but I wanted to explain the concept so you understand the composition. As I mentioned earlier, I made the smaller log for the fence using the same bread knife method as for the larger log. This is how these two logs look side by side. I think the result is more than satisfactory. Although it may not be quite typical for diorama depict wartime scenes, but as they say, you work with what you have. Now it's time to cut the log into sharp pieces and add them to the diorama, using superglue for a reliable hold. Honestly, I really like how this fence turned out. Now it's necessary to make the final adjustment. Remove anything extra, add what's needed. For example, I'll add some more texture paste, because unpleasant depression formed around the installed logs, which ideally shouldn't be there. It's important to fix this for the overall visual balance. Now that the fence is ready and I can see the overall picture, I decided the ravine should be sandy clay. Having the same texture as the road would be strange. Nature doesn't work that way. So I decided to make the ravine distinct in color and texture. For this, I used several shades of yellow from different brands. To be honest, I can't say exactly which paints they were, because I often mix different colors and then store them in special jars to prevent drying. Most likely it was German yellow from Vallejo and a bit of yellow from ICM, because ICM have a cool ultramatte finish, while Vallejo paint have excellent coverage and saturation. Why these colors? At first I used the dry brushing technique and only afterward fully painted the slope of the ravine. I did this to see how the color would behave on different areas, since the result depends on the material you apply it to and the tone of the underlying layer. This is really important because you don't want to waste paint due to a tone mistake. Now that the ravine is painted in a sandy clay color, I move it on to smoothing the edge using the same color applied to the ground texture, but slightly lighten it. This way done to convey the natural blending of sand, clay and soil, which is often found in such places. Additionally, I sporadically added some sandy color spots across the soil area for visual variety. Again, I want to remind you that after applying the wash, all these bright spots will blend in and won't stand out so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the wash. I'm using burnt umber again because it fits perfectly into the overall color theme. Of course, my favorite oil wash is Van Dyke Brown, but unfortunately in this case it would have been too dark and lifeless. I wanted to add a bit more brightness and richness instead. So here is what I got after applying the wash. A dirty, messy, rough, broken rod. This is exactly the result I was aiming for. As you can see, the sandy ravine doesn't look perfect, but it's quite acceptable, especially considering the overall composition. Off camera, I decided to add some variety to the diorama by placing several large stones. Now it's time to paint them. After applying the stone with a base color of grey-green by ASM, I applied a generous amount of wash in the same color used for the ground texture. This gave the stone a dirty look and helped them blend organically into surrounding terrain. Of course, having only large stone and completely absence of smaller ones looks a bit odd, but in my opinion, it's still better than having no stones at all. Moving on to the next stage, I started adding bunches of grass that I had prepared beforehand. There won't be much grass in this diorama, but there will be additional elements, flowers. Most likely there are dandelions. This way, the diorama imitates a spring landscape. I can say the flowers turned out pretty cool, they beautifully diversified the look and added a sense of life. Overall, the diorama turned out so interesting that I even doubted should I add the gun and the figures at all. Maybe it would have been better to leave it simply as a country dirt road. But the main idea was to show that even if you don't have the exact model you need, you can create it yourself using a 3D printer. In my case, that was the gun. Honestly, I wanted to have this exact gun in my collection for a long time, but I couldn't find it for sale in the version I wanted. So, having some 3D modeling skill, I just made it myself and printed it on a 3D printer, and got exactly the model I truly needed. After adding the figures and other elements, the diorama was almost finished. All that was left was to add epoxy resin. This time I wanted to apply it selectively, only in the places where it was supposed to be. For this I used all synthetic brushes. They are perfect for carefully resin application. They don't create extra bubbles and allow to precise control. Yes, I ended up with a lot of puddles, but I just couldn't stop. They turned out so cool. The color of the epoxy resin matched perfectly, and the result truly pleased me. And so, when the resin dried, I got exactly what I wanted. A broken country dirt road after the rain, or maybe after some flooding, nobody really knows what happened here. In the background, infantrymen pushing the gun. They need to take position quickly and open fire. That's the story, my friends. And actually I can't say the gun turned out perfect. No, its quality is, to put it mildly, quite poor, but given the lack of alternatives, it's not a bad option. The figures? Awful. They are the worst figures from Orion I have even painted. I haven't seen anything worse from them yet. Honestly, it's high time they reconsidered their approach. This can no longer be excused. But overall, I achieved what I wanted. I demonstrated that even with a FDM 3D printer you can create the model you need and get the desired result if you have the skills. I also tested my new flowers, and in my opinion they turned out great. Yes, for 1/72 scale they might be a bit large, but they look good and don't spoil the overall composition. And that's what matters most. In the end, I need to say that all the models I used in this video are available on my Calls 3D page. There you can find this gun, both a complete model and a set of separate parts. In this video was the parts version. Of course, separate parts have some nuances, but much depend on your 3D printer, since I tuned all the settings for my Bamboo-Lab A1 Mini. As I said earlier, as always, all links are in my video description. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumb up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment and ask any question you have. I'm always around and happy to answer. This was Vlad from Noquality Dioramas, as always. Thank everyone and see you next time.